Seven Deadly Sins, a great story with terrible animation and problematic character dynamics. What do I mean? If you watch the show or read the manga, since I wouldn't wish this garbage on my worst enemy, you would know that there are some of-age characters that fall in love with seemingly not of-age characters. And because of the love I hold for this story, I'm going to attempt to justify these relationships. Now, before I even start, it needs to be known this story is based during the medieval times, and things like age of consent weren't as normalized back then. Okay, enough stalling. First, we got Elizabeth and Meliodas, more specifically this clip right here.
Let me take the little one.
Don't touch her!
Keep your hands off my woman, understand me?
Okay, I'll admit, out of context, this clip is insane. However, if you didn't know, these two are star-crossed lovers. Meliodas is the son of the Demon King, while Elizabeth is the daughter of the Supreme Deity. I don't really remember because it's been like 5 years since I read it, but whatever. Why they're beefing doesn't really matter. What does matter is Meliodas and Elizabeth are supposed to be sworn enemies and they fall in love. So their parents place a curse upon them, causing Meliodas to become basically immortal, not being able to die under any circumstance, and Elizabeth to constantly die and reincarnate, losing all of her memories she's had of her previous lives. During any of her incarnations, through random chance, Elizabeth can regain her memories, which will then cause her to die soon after. In this clip, they've been through this cycle of suffering countless times, and Meliodas was just tired of going through it. So he decided to watch over her, making sure nothing happened to her until she reached adulthood. Note that Meliodas never once made a move on her while she was a child. And I know what you're thinking. Hey Salah, isn't this grooming? In any other scenario, yes, grooming is wrong, do not do this, but they're literally destined to be together. They've been through this cycle a million times now. I think just for this one very specific instance, it'll be okay to let something like this slide. It's not just the author being weird, I hope. Now, problem number 2. Bon and Elaine. Many people find this problematic since Elaine seemingly looks like a child, but she's actually like 1,000 years old or whatever. My justification for this is that ultimately, these are all drawings, and the only thing differentiating a child from an adult is the height, meaning if Elaine was slightly taller, no one would have a problem with this. I personally think that this is extremely insensitive to those suffering from dwarfism, and unless you want to get cancelled, you'd probably agree with me. Problem number 3. King and Diane. People don't like the fact that King and Diane got together even though King knew her since she was an actual child. King was the king of the fairies, but unfortunately he bumped his head and got CTE or some shit and forgot everything. Forgot his friends and family, forgot he was the king of the fairies. After waking up in a cave, he finds out Diane, this giant child, was taking care of him while he was out. She then continues to take care of him, finding him food and overall nursing him back to health. Through being nursed by Diane, King grows a liking to her. And no, it's not anything weird, just wow, this person took care of me when I needed it most. I'll never forget them. Now, for whatever reason, again, it's been like 5 years so I don't fully remember, I think he gained his memory back, but for whatever reason they split up. And years later, when Diane's grown up, King joins Meliodas' crew, sees Diane, and is like, damn, she got thick. Again, grooming is bad. However, that's not what's really happening here. Diane doesn't even recognize him at first, and King already has this deep connection with her. A connection that's now backed by attraction. At this point, all it is two consenting adults. Now, honorable mentions, Jericho and Lancelot. I haven't read the Four Horsemen in a while, but from what I remember, Jericho never actually did anything besides confess her love to Lancelot, who was like a teenager at that point. Originally, she was in love with Bon, but he's already taken by Miss 1,000 years old over here. They end up having a child named Lancelot, who Jericho helps raise and train. The older he gets, the stronger he resembles his father. One fateful day, Jericho starts thinking, wow, he looks a lot like Bon, or should I say, he Lancelot.
I can't take any more. I can't do this. I cannot do this any fucking more.
Jericho, who's like 28 by now, tells Lancelot, before you lose your head, you gotta remember, this is the medieval times. Plus, Game of Thrones did this, but way worse. There are way bigger age gaps with way less consent, yet nobody ever talks about that. That's because it's part of the show. Yeah, and this is part of this show. One last thing I want to mention. Many people talk about how it's weird that Merlin's true form is that of a child, and there's a very simple explanation for this. Merlin is a very talented witch, so talented in fact that she was able to stop her internal clock at the young age of 6, meaning she was able to completely stop aging. The only reason she uses this adult form is in hopes that Meliodas would fall in love with her, which just goes to show that Meliodas is only attracted to adults, further proving how not weird the show is. And I'ma keep it a buck, that's 100% a cope. However, I'ma take what I can get, cause Lord knows Nakaba's Suzuki ain't making this any easier. If you have any questions or concerns, leave them in the comments below, and while you're down there, you might as well hit the like button. Like, what are we really doing? Yeah, that's pretty much it. See ya. Or should I be on my Cardi shit? See ya. I'm sorry, that was cringe as fuck. Oh my god, holy shit.